All right, well, welcome everyone to today's webinar, Sales Automation and Opportunities in Applied Epic. We are so glad you are joining us today. For those of you joining us today who may not be familiar with Kite Technology, we are a managed IT services provider and consulting firm serving independent insurance agencies across the country. What sets KiteTech apart from other IT providers is our expertise with insurance. Many of our staff have previous backgrounds working in the insurance industry, giving us that extra insight on what agencies today need for operating at a high level. We find that most agencies underutilize Applied Epic, so our consulting division helps agencies learn how to use Epic more efficiently so they can get the most from their investment and improve their agency's performance. KiteTech has been around for more than 30 years, and we serve agencies across the United States. You can see our IT and consulting services listed here. Please feel free to reach out anytime during the webinars with any questions you may have. All right, and with that, I'm going to introduce myself and Jenny, who will be your main presenter today, telling you all about the Epic Sales Automation things. My name is Lauren Roberts. I'm the Director of Agency Consulting here at Kite Technology Group. Been with Kite Technology for a little over 6 years now, I think. I work with agencies doing Epic migration assistance, optimization. I do a lot of forensic accounting and help with accounting cleanup and training. We also do a lot of employee training as well. So just a few of the things that I do here at KiteTech, along with leading an awesome team of agency consultants, of which I'm going to hand over to Jenny. So Jenny, go ahead and introduce yourself and get us started with all of the wonderful information you have today.
Sure. Hi, I am Jenny, and I am an Applied Epic consultant here at KiteTech. I joined KiteTech about a little over a year ago, about a year and a half now. Before that, I was in an independent insurance agency. I was an account manager. And then when my agency went live on Epic, I became the system administrator. So I have that experience as well. And then also here at Kite, I lead the Epic optimizations and migrations as well. My favorite part, though, is getting your data nice and clean, so you have some really good operational reports and things like that. But I really enjoy saving users clicks and making Epic do a lot of the work for you. So here I am. And with that, let's get started. I'm going to click to the next screen. So today we're going to talk about why use Epic Sales Automation, which is also called Opportunities in Epic. We're going to talk about some of the key components of the Epic sales automation in Applied Epic. We're going to talk about some considerations for customizing those sales stages and just general configuration. And then we're going to go over using that really cool dashboard that they have and some of the sales report to help manage your pipeline. And then finally, at the end, we are going to leave room for questions. So keep those coming in that question and answer section on the Zoom panel. And I believe you can upvote those as well. So if somebody asks a question that you're interested in, push them to the top. All right. So first, we're going to talk about standardizing your sales process. So the basics of your sales pipeline, just, whether you're selling insurance or whatever, is you want to set some sales goals. You want to say, this is what I want to accomplish in this amount of time. You want to work your leads, gather them and work them. You want to identify any opportunities that you have, and then you want to be able to manage that pipeline. And so Epic has this built-in opportunity section to allow you to do all of these things. How that looks in Epic is, first of all, you're going to add a prospect account, and then you're going to add contacts. Then you're going to add an opportunity in Epic. You're going to manage that opportunity through different stages. And then you're going to finally, at the end, close that opportunity as won or lost with your reasons that you were unsuccessful as well, so that you can report on that later and have that knowledge. All right, now I'm going to switch over to Epic. I'm just going to show you what this looks like to add an opportunity. Lauren's already added one for us here on this test account, but I'm just going to just click the button and kind of walk you through kind of what this looks like. She's already entered the prospect in for me, Rock and Roll Burgers. And instead of going to the policy section, which I know you're normally used to going to, you're going to go to the opportunity section instead. And you're just going to, like everywhere else in Epic, you just click the plus button. Here, you want to add whether it's a new business or a renewal, because you can have a renewal opportunity and you can track those renewal opportunities as well. You're going to put in a good description. So, if this is supposed to be a 23, 24 commercial package or a BOP or whatever you're trying to sell, you're going to put a good description on that, recommended as always, to make that standard throughout your agency, so that everybody knows exactly what this is. You don't need to have it, be a paragraph. Just summarize what you're doing here. Your default should pull in for your agency and branch. And in a lot of cases, maybe your department, but I'm going to choose commercial lines since we're doing a commercial package. If this doesn't pull in, you're going to have to do this yourself. You want to put in your target close date, and that's really good, especially for reporting and following up, to get an idea of when you want to close this by. So we'll say December 1st, just a nice round number. If you have the policy source or the opportunity source, again, really good information to put in, whether you're entering in just an account, at the account level, the policy level, or the opportunity level. This is a good way to kind of track where these leads are coming from so that you can spend more effort in those places.
Yeah, and think about things like, if you have a deal with a local mortgage broker or, some type of referral source that you really want to be able to report those opportunities on, that's those sources that you'll be able to use. Remember, you can only use one per opportunity or policy or account, but that is some really great information for your reporting that you're going to get out of these opportunities.
Yep, absolutely. And Christina is asking, why would you track your renewal opportunities instead of tracking through the policy renew action? That's a good question. Remember, opportunities are for your sales team, and so they're setting goals and they're trying to hit goals. And so the renewal action is going to track the renewal and kind of the servicing part of it. But this will actually pull like in credit towards your account or towards your sales goals if you're a salesperson and you're entering it as renewal.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Pete has a question too.
Question too. Yeah. Pete's asking about source at the account level and will it pull over and why the duplication? Another great question. Yes, there is source at the account level. That's the source of the account as a whole. But take, for instance, you're running a with this, not that report, and you're doing a push to run everybody that has home but not auto, or auto and not home, because everybody hopefully lives somewhere. You want to track maybe the source of that homeowner's account that you've sold as a result of that marketing push. You want to be able to track that. So in that case, it was an existing client, but you got this policy from some kind of marketing effort. So that's an instance where it might be different in that case.
Yeah, and the thing is, when you see those fields that look like they're duplicated, so to speak, in different areas, that's so that you can pull them into different reports in Epic as well. So the account level source can be reported on in account level reports. The opportunity level source can be reported on in opportunity reports. And then policy level source can be reported on in the policy level reports. So that's why you see those identified in different areas. Yes, you could absolutely put the same thing in all of those data fields, but if you want to be able to pull those into those specific reports, that's why you put them in the different areas.
Yep.
Good question already.
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of times with an opportunity, you don't know what the estimated value of this, of this account may be. Maybe you do, maybe you have an idea. If you do, you have the choice to put in your estimated premium, revenue, number of policies. You can even track number of risks or client contracts. So that's all there. If you don't know it now, but you want to put it in later, and you will want to put it in later as you're going through and quoting, there's definitely an opportunity to put that in there as well. As far as the sales team, you want to be able over here to mark which sales team this is going to be credited to, whether it's you as a team, or if you're doing individuals. So you want to be able to drop down from here, and we'll show you later how to set these up in Epic as well. But in here, in our Epic database, in our demo, we have Lightning, Maverick, and Thunder. And so I'm going to pick Thunder because my login is under Thunder as well. Here's my sales manager. It pulls it over. And then here's the owner is an employee, and I am listed as consulting. So here I am right here. So now I'm going to get credit for this opportunity when I go and when reports are run, or when I'm looking on the dashboard, it's going to be on my dashboard. Over here is where you put your stage, and we'll go into some details of the stages, but this is just kind of where you are in the sales process. And our instance of Epic is asking for a group before it gives us the stages, because in this case, we have different stages for benefits, for new business, for renewal business, and personal lines. So I'm going to say commercial lines, new business, because that's what I've chosen up here. And then I can see my stages. So you're basically just going to move this opportunity through the stages and kind of indicate where you are in the sales process. Any comments that you want to make, you can certainly put here. These are editable and not reportable, so just keep that in mind. When I hit detail, I'm going to get an activity, and at Kite, we're always about the activities, but some agencies choose to not use the activities and just use the comments here. That's fine. Just remember that they are editable, just like in the policy section of comments and the account detail section of comments. I'm going to click detail. That's where my eye's drawn to with the blue. And so I'm going to go there. There's just a few cases in Epic where you don't want to just automatically click the blue, but here we are. I've got my add opportunity code. So I have this. I can leave it open if I want to use this activity for follow-up, set it up to an appropriate day. Right now it's 3 days ahead of time. Just all different things that you can consider. And my rule of thumb is if you see a box pop up, always make a note. If your agency doesn't want you to make a note, then put it in the background. But just document everything in your system. And when I click finish, I'm still on the same screen, but you see over here, just like in the policy section, this is kind of opened up all of this information here. I like to pull a contact in, and the nice thing is this doesn't automatically pull the contacts from the account, but when I click plus, I can either add a new contact or add an existing contact. Adding a new contact will actually add a new person into this section and add it to the contact section. If I click add an existing contact, that's going to pull from my existing contact section. So I'm just putting my main contact person in for this opportunity, and I'm going to pick Sam here. And so he's in here. If I have any associated items, when I get to quoting especially, this is a good place to link the opportunity to that new policy or that new policy quote. So you can just click plus here and pick whether you have a marketing submission, a policy, or a service. If your agency's using services, you can connect the two together, and that really just kind of ties everything together for you. And Pete wants...
Oh, I'm typing a message, but...
Oh, you're typing a message. Yeah, go ahead.
So Pete's question, if you guys are watching the Q&A, we are going to answer that a little bit later in the presentation. So good question, Pete.
And here in the attachment section, you can actually drag and drop attachments to the opportunity right here. If you're using an activity, we still recommend always putting that on the workflow activity, but you can either drag and drop or add attachments here. If I click the plus, it's either an existing client document, which means from the attachment section already, or an existing file is on your computer somewhere. So you can use the plus sign or the drag and drop feature there.
Yeah, and I wanted to point out one thing there is that when you do attach to your ad opportunity activity, it's not like a policy-based activity where it would also attach to the policy. So if you click access attachments from your opportunities, it's not going to pull those up. You'd have to go through the ad opportunity activity itself to get to anything you attach there. So what's cool here is if you have that habit of attaching everything to your opportunity, you can always come back to this section and click that add button for that existing client document like Jenny just showed you, and just pull those attachments into this area. So anything that you want to fully associate here, you can attach in this section. So if you had some, more important documents like quotes or proposals or anything like that that you really wanted to have connected to the op, you could do that here as well.
Awesome.
Mhm.
I'm going to close. I'm not closing the opportunity. I'm closing, the entry that's open. And so here I am here. This is the one that I entered. This is the one that that Lauren entered earlier. And then from here, I'm just going to show you kind of some of the actions that you can take. You can change the stage from here. So you can move it through. When I showed you, when we first started, you can move it through the different stages. We started off with unqualified, and you can push it through and change the stages that way. You can update the premium and revenue. So if you didn't know it at first, you could enter it here, your number of policies, all of that kind of stuff there. And then when you click finish, it just is going to push it through to that next level. This is the one that I entered, and I'm going to do that by right clicking, because you can do the same thing. Right click and actions are 95% of the time the same thing in Epic. Right click in actions, not on the home screen. It's a little bit different. But here it's just pushing me through to the next stage. I wanted to show you that. I started off with unqualified, and it's pushing me through to qualified, but I can certainly skip around if I feel like I've moved farther along in the process.
And these are the out of the box stages, which we're going to show you how you can kind of streamline those a little bit more in a minute. So if you're
Absolutely.
overwhelmed and you're like, oh my gosh, that's so much stuff, don't worry about it. We'll show you how to fix that.
Yep. You can also close this activity here. So I can close it and indicate if it's lost or won. If it's won, then it's going to give me the actual date, and I'm going to put my actual premium and revenue and policies in there. If I picked lost, then of course it's going to let me choose a reason. And these are all reportable, and you can quantify, how many you have for whatever reason, and adjust your sales process that way. So you can certainly do that all along the way. Oops, let me discard that. And then you can also renew an opportunity if it's expired and you want to kind of start fresh and do a renew, or find the old one from last year and then renew it. You can do that as well. And then once it's closed, you can also reopen it too. Along the way, you're going to get activities. Most of them are in the background, but I think we're going to talk about that in a sec. But spoiler alert, as you get those activities, you can actually process further actions on those activities as you change the stage group, close the opportunity. You can do further actions where it might send a letter, or I don't think you can send an email template through further actions, but you can.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Well, and
I ran into that this week, but yeah.
Well, and there are some alternatives. So if you're familiar with the reports marketing section, you can also use some of those activities to kick off email templates from your reports marketing section as well. So you're not stuck with just the further actions functionality there. You could also utilize some of the reports marketing or your marketing automation if you have purchased that feature from Applied.
Yep. One other thing I want to mention here is that the opportunities is available in Applied Mobile. So if you're using the app version of Epic, if you're not, please do, especially if you're in sales. You get it right on your phone. you can add activities, you can manage activities, you can add policies and opportunities, manage the opportunities right from that app. And it has a really cool map feature there, just side note, so that if you don't know if a prospect is in your database or not, and you're standing right in front of it, it'll pull up. I'm not sure if it's Google Maps or if it's another map program, but it'll pull that up and let you know the prospects and clients all around you where where you're standing. So that's kind of nice. You can go right to the account that way. So kind of fun stuff. All right, let's go. Let's talk about a little bit about defining your sales process in general, because before you start configuring opportunities and customizing and all that, you kind of want to kind of get everybody on board and figure out exactly what you're measuring. So your sales process is basically a repeatable set of steps that a sales team will take to move a prospect to a client. It's this systematic approach. You've got these series of steps, and you're going to close deals and increase your margins and make more sales through referrals, using this process. So out of the box, Epic is going to give you these sales stages. You guys saw them earlier: unqualified, qualified. It's based on this solution selling sales program. The 8 stages you see here, it's got the name of the stage, but then it's also defining what that stage means. So for your users, you want to be able to define exactly what that stage means. We find a lot of times 8 stages are a lot for sales teams, for users to try and move through those. And so we typically recommend that we narrow it down to just a handful, but that are meaningful.
Yeah. And I was going to say also, we've seen the opposite of that, where folks have gotten, really expansive with those sales stages and kind of adopted the method or thought process that you would use in the renewals manager stages to, implement not only the sales aspect of that opportunity process, but also, some of the servicing side and, what's marketing doing, or what's the account manager doing, or whatever the case is.
Mhm.
So we do see them get a little bit more in depth, but like you saw earlier, you can choose those stage groups that we'll talk about that you can kind of separate out. So if there are some different, key things that you want each department to do or each level of sales to do, then you can separate those out as well.
Mhm. So the first, when you're talking about your sales stages and you're talking about customizing, the first thing you want to do is you want to identify the steps in your existing process. What are you doing right now? How are you moving your prospects to clients? How are you doing that? And then you want to take all of those steps, take that process, and just find your key points. So what can you measure? And these are going to be your stages. So you want to narrow it down. You want to keep your number of stages simple but complete, and keep your stage names concise. We've seen this in a renewals manager a lot. Speaking of renewals manager, where you have like an over descriptive stage, and then it kind of just does the dot dot dot, and you can't really read what it is. So you want to keep it to one word if you possibly can. And here's a kind of a recommended, like, abbreviated sales stage, where you have your suspect, where you're going after this, this like cold call kind of thing. Then you move them to a qualified lead, like you think, okay, this is going to be somebody that's interested in quoting. Then you're marketing. Then after you've marketed, you're doing the proposal, and then you're pending your signed contracts or payment. And this would be just before it's actually labeled as one. So here's just an example that we give here.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And you can use whatever words you like,
Absolutely.
but the idea is to really, make sure that you've got something that works for your agency. And Jenny mentioned earlier, what are your sales steps now? Well, what if you don't have any sales steps?
Mhm.
Well, then you're going to need to define those. So it's going to be time for some brainstorming and, really identifying what is an ideal sales process. Not only what do you want to measure, but what can you also realistically ask your producers or your sales folks to do? So that's some of the other things that you want to keep in mind when you're developing those sales stages. If you hand this to somebody that's more technical, that's just super focused on reporting, and they're the ones that decide on the stages, you might end up with 25 stages because that's how us technical reporting people are.
Mhm.
But if you engage with your sales staff and sales management and things like that, really to identify, what should we be doing? We should, have somebody that's just like Jenny said, cold call, or maybe it was a quick referral from somebody, whatever the case is, and then. When do you identify that that's a good lead, or maybe it goes to a bad lead, whatever the case is. Go through that process of what do we typically do in the agency, and how can you make it better in all aspects,
Mhm.
and you can change them. You're not stuck with you
That's
know
right.
like you can start with one thing and then change it later if you need to. You're not stuck with whatever comes out of the box or whatever you decide on initially. It's just like every a lot of other things in Epic. It's customizable and you can change things up as needed.
Wendy, that's a really good question. She says if we've been using the Epic generic stages for a while and would like to change to more of our agency stages, what happens to all the open opportunities and what is your recommendation for changing them? So in the stages here and in Renewals Manager, anything that you go in and manually change the name of, it will change the name for everything across the board. So you really don't want to do that. What you want to do is just create the new stage and maybe inactivate the other. If you're wanting to inactivate it, it'll stay on any existing opportunity, but you won't be able to add it to new ones. So you want to create a whole new description for something new, because what will happen is if you go in and just type it over, it will wipe out everything and change it all. And if it's something that you're okay with, then that's fine, but you don't want to change it to something like specific to personal lines and then have all the commercial lines change that as well. Um, yes, Pete, the system can create a new activity for each stage. It'll create an activity saying changed opportunity stage on there. I think it's like CHOS is the activity code. And yeah, yes, you can do the further actions from that.
Just to clarify though, it does not give you an activity that is specific to the stage. It
Right.
just says you've changed the stage. So if you're looking for something a little bit more precise, as in like what stage is this in, that again may be something that you'd have to do through the reports marketing area rather than the further actions area. If you wanted a specific email based on what stage that client is actually in, or prospect.
Yep. Yep. And if you have applied marketing automation, you can set the criteria in there and send out emails from there as well.
Unfortunately, no. The next question is I hate when we have to answer no. So Pete's question is, can we create custom activities for each stage? And the answer is no. And the reason why is because, again, those stages are fully customizable. So you could, this agency could have 12 stages, this agency could have 4 stages, and they're, not something that is consistent. So it can't be identified as an event and changed to something specific to that stage because it's not consistent in every single system. So that's why it's the activity based on just changing the stage, because that's the event in
Mhm.
Epic instead of actually reflecting that stage. So that's where, an opportunities marketing type report to generate those email templates might be a better option for you. If you ran something like that on a daily basis and said, okay, everything that is in this stage, you probably have to kind of play around with that a little bit, but that might be a better option for you. And again, like Jenny mentioned, marketing automation is probably a huge time saver and would automate that a lot more for you.
Mhm. I do know if you import prospects, you have to get them into Epic first, the accounts. In applied marketing automation, you can run a marketing campaign for these prospects, and then it will there's a choice in applied marketing automation to add an opportunity to everyone that this email goes to. So instead of having to manually add an opportunity, marketing automation will do that for you. So that's kind of a cool feature as well. Some other things to consider when you're outlining your sales stages. So you're defining exactly what this stage is. Think about, like Lauren said, who does what in Epic. Is it going to be the account manager or an assistant that's entering in the opportunity for the sales team? Are they going to move them through the stages? Who's going to do what? Who's going to manage this in Epic? Are you going to use activities? Are you going to attach some tasks to the activities? Because remember, if you have a producer that owns that ADOP activity, you can certainly assign a task to the CSR or account manager or assistant, and then both of you would see that activity on your home screen at the same time until the task is closed. Think about what can be automated, the further actions, the email templates, the reports that you can run and generate an activity or generate an email template or a letter template. And then, of course, applied marketing automation. Think about when does this opportunity go into this stage and when does it leave to go to the next stage? So how are you going to move it through the stages? Like, really define that. And think about, like, for the percentages, the likelihood of a win based on historical data. Like, when you get clients all the way to this stage of the process, what's the percentage that's going to be a won opportunity as opposed to a lost opportunity? And then, just like everything, create a cheat sheet for your stage definitions and literally just spell it out like we had on that one slide with the 8. Exactly when you're going to use the stage, when you're going to move it through, who, what, where, when, why, how. Create that cheat sheet for your users. All right. Now let's talk about your configuration. And I'm going to go through some of the steps. I'm going to hop over to Epic in a minute, but I'm going to show you how to kind of set some of this stuff up and configure. So I'm going to move back over to Epic for a sec. So the first thing that you want to do is in your employee accounts, you want to be able to identify who are your sales managers or your executives, set goals, things like that. So I'm going to drop down to our consulting employee account so that you can see in the account detail of this. Well, maybe.
It's okay. That's where we have hold music and we just,
Yeah, we need to put that 80s
enter.
80s synth rock back on.
Yes, that was hilarious.
Yep, let's go back.
I think I was
This
pretty
way.
catchy with rock and roll burgers there, when we in our
Yeah,
80s.
that was fancy. That was super fancy.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Yay. All right. So, in your employee account, you've got all of your tabs like you do in a client account. It's a little bit more. You can share, or save HR information. But over here, there's a sales tab. You may not have ever noticed this before, but here you can actually mark if you want somebody to be a sales manager or an executive. And then you can assign what sales team this employee is going to belong to. And this is how I knew that I was on Thunder. I came over here and assigned myself to the Thunder sales team. Here's where I can set my targets. So I'm going to click the plus and I'm going to say, okay, Thunder sales team for 2023. And we can put in premium and revenue. Is that enough zeros? I don't know. We'll just put zeros in. There we go. You can put in a number of policies, risks, whatever you want to have in here. And then this will be the sales team as a whole. And then if we put in, I think we can just put in just my goals in here. So this is the sales team, and then this is the individual goal here. And I'm going to save that. And then the other thing I want to do is I want to be able to view others. If I'm working on a sales team, you want to be able to see activities, tasks, workflows, that kind of thing. And especially if you're the manager, you want to be able to see everyone that's reporting to you. So you would just come over here and click the plus and add their names in here, activities, tasks, and workflows as well. And then you can view their opportunities here as the owner, as the sales team, or as the sales manager. So you just add a few employees under here. I don't know if any of these people even have opportunities, probably not. But that's where you would add them to be able to view them. I'm going to go out of here. And then when I go to configure, you may wonder how I even got Thunder and Lightning and Maverick. If you go to configure an account, these screens are just not loading today. I don't think they're liking my drop-down menu, is what it is. Okay. Go to account. And then over here, I'm going to scroll all the way down to sales teams. This is where you configure your sales team. So in my employee account, I could add myself to Thunder there, but I can also add myself here as well. If I double click and click the plus sign, I can do that, but you can set them up by, of course, adding again. When you add a new one, you're going to list who the manager is of this sales team and associate whether this is a broker or an employee, because you may have some outside brokers that are producing leads for you. You're going to give it a name, and then here's where you put your members in. So that is where that is configured. Your opportunity stages and stage groups are here. So here are the general stages. There's the 8 that we had in there. And then your stage groups, we mentioned that we had benefits, commercial lines. So our benefits stage group, maybe they're going to skip over discover, market, and propose and negotiate, and they're going to go straight from the validate to request for proposal. So they're only going to have 5 stages in there. Commercial lines for new business, they're going to have everything except for this request for proposal. And then their renewal business is only going to have market and propose, because they don't have to do, maybe they don't have to determine if the person's interested or not, because it's a renewal. Here's your default group. And then personal lines, new business, maybe for personal lines, you only have 3 stages. So that's where you configure all of that.
Yeah. And Jenny, we have a quick question.
Oh, yeah.
What's the difference in the sales manager and executive? So selecting the sales manager checkbox makes the employee available for selections in the manager dropdown. So where Jenny was configuring the sales team configuration, that makes them the sales manager. And then you have to select the executive checkbox in order to see the executive dashboard that's going to be on the home screen in a little bit. So she'll show you that a little bit later, but that's what the executive checkbox is for. Yeah.
That's another good question, though.
Yes.
Here is your unsuccessful reasons as well. So you want to make these meaningful, and remember, these are for the purpose of reporting. So you want to make them clear. You don't want them to overlap at all. We see this a lot with cancellation reasons for policy statuses. You want to make sure that it's not just kind of a general kind of reason. You want it to be specific and definitely different than all the rest. So you want to do that there, and then just configuring, you can add or edit the names there. Remember, if you're editing names, it's going to change it for everything that's already got that on there. So just beware on that. And then the last place in configure is, if you notice when I first clicked in, I've got this nice little opportunity dashboard. You probably don't have that if you haven't turned it on. So how you turn that on is in user options, and you're going to customize your home base. And then over here on dashboards, you're going to check the dashboard there, and you want to check dashboards to see the dashboard, and you want to check opportunities to see a list underneath of all of your opportunities. So it's kind of like your activity section, but it'll list all of your open opportunities here. We'll go through those, the home screen stuff in a minute, but that's where you turn it on, is on customize home base there. Yeah. I always want to get sidetracked and tell you everything that I know about the home screen, and I'm going to stop right now.
That's really the only reason why we have the PowerPoint, is just to keep us on track, because we are so used to just talking about all of the things.
Yes, yes. We just want to tell you everything. So for your activity options, you want to use one activity to track all attempts to contact a lead. So if you're going to use an activity, you don't want to create a new activity every time you call them. You want to keep it all in one place so that you can use that view all notes function and just kind of read, okay, I tried to call them and they didn't answer. I tried to call the next day and I talked to them and they said call back on Tuesday. And you've got that all right in one activity code. It makes it so much easier to follow the next year if you didn't win that opportunity to try and go back later and see what happened. And you just want to use that one activity to track when that opportunity is added or lost. When you do lose the business, you do get a closed opportunity activity that you can use and keep that open in case you wanted to follow up on it next year if you didn't win it. Or an alternative is to create a reminder activity to follow up just for that next year. You could have an activity per stage. Again, it's not going to be actually, you know what, Lauren, you could create an activity per stage. It would all be attached to that event. You'd have to drop down which stage you were choosing for that activity. It's a little cumbersome that way, but you could do it that way. It would be all tied to the same system event of changing the opportunity stage. But if you had 5 stages, you could have 5 activities, and you just pick, in addition to the stage, the activity. And then Pete, you were asking that question about automating that.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
On the fly, just like that.
On the fly. On the fly. All right, Janessa, you're asking if you've created a new sales team and want to move a group of opportunities to that sales team. Is there a way to do that in bulk, like a reassignment? That was a good question that I don't know the answer to, but I am sure that Lauren's going to start looking right now, if you don't already know.
My view is kind of messed up on my screen, so yes, I will look and see.
Okay. And then again, where you configure the change of stage to update the activity, if you create your stages over here. So here's your opportunity stages. So whatever you decide to call those, what I was saying was you could create an activity. Let's go to the code. Right now it's just change opportunity stage, but you could create one activity per stage. Here it is here. You'd have to create a separate code per stage if you wanted to do it that way, and then tie them all to this change opportunity stage event, which is here. So when you actions change opportunity stage, right now it's just got this one right here. If you wanted to do a separate activity per stage, you could create the activities, attach them here, make them pop up, make them required. Okay. All right. And the other thing, some other things to consider about activities, we have an activity per stage. So then you can have your activity per stage that creates a further action. And then again, one activity that holds all the documentation for that all the sales activities for that attempt. So that one opportunity, that one attempt, you want to keep them all in one place so that you can view all notes on that. And what I'm talking about is if you have, here's our ad opportunity, you can actually view all notes here and it will show you every note entered in there, like a little story. So it's kind of cool that way. This one just didn't have any notes on it, so it's not as cool as I said it was. All right, let's talk a little bit now about the dashboard. So when you go to your home base, back again here, you can actually see, here's your opportunities for the next 30 days coming up. And we have 30, in the next 30 days, we've got Bob's Construction. We can see our stage. Just like everywhere else in Epic, we always recommend selecting the column so that you can see the maximum amount of information without having to load these screens up. So you can pull in your account code. I'm always about the contact name and the contact via. Because then you can see right here who you have to call, what their number is. You can put that in there. You might want to see your premium and revenue, maybe the owner if you're seeing more than one person, sales manager, sales team, just all of that stuff can come right in here. New feature in Epic is you can double click and resize these columns instead of having to manually do that. So that's kind of cool. I didn't put a contact on this one, so we don't have our contact name and contact via, but you can see up here on the activities section where I need to call Jake and here's his phone number and I have voice over internet, so I can just click and dial him right from there. Check out my last note that I entered, and I'm digressing again. Here's your opportunities though. You can also view others' opportunities. So when I chose to be able to see other people, other owners, I can see, I would be able to select them, check the boxes and pull those in as well. So if I'm gonna be covering, helping somebody else because they're on vacation for a month or whatever, or if I'm managing, then I can see everybody's right there. So that's all right there. And I can right click and I can do kind of what I was doing within the opportunity itself. I can do that from here. I can add an activity to that opportunity. I can change the stage. I can close it. I can renew it, change the stage group. So I can kind of do everything. This is the one area where actions is different. On the home screen, actions is change password or close activity. So you really have to right click there. All right. I'm going to go up here to the dashboard for a second. I'm reading Jeff's question. What are the
That's
biggest
my favorite question.
the agencies running into? Yes, we're not going to throw producers under the bus. They're
Not at all.
pretty bad at using Epic.
Yeah,
You
so I'll take that one.
okay, you do it.
So one thing that obviously the ideal process would be to have your producers actually moving things through these stages. You're not asking them to use an outside program like HubSpot or Salesforce or whatever the case is. This is just built into Epic. So we're not asking them to go service policies or anything like that. It's just, if you could just focus their efforts on those opportunities in the dashboard, that would be great. Now, if you do have the most common challenge of every single agency, which is the producer does not do a good job of documentation, they don't really want to work in Epic or learn Epic or understand Epic, then typically my recommendation is let the producer do their thing, unless you want to do some major change management. Let the producer do their thing and apply a position or a method for them to relay that information to someone who is Epic savvy and get that information into the system. So that's why we were talking about a little while ago about identify who does what in the stages. We see agencies all the time who want to make sure this information is up to date and everything is in Epic and it's happening in Epic. So they will have, maybe the account manager or the assistant account manager, whoever it is, getting that information into Epic. Again, ideally, the goal is for your producer to use this as a sales management tool as well, though. So you do lose that efficient or efficacy of having them manage their sales pipeline if you can't get them to actually put that information in Epic. You can still run reports and send them reports and gather the information, but if you really want to get the most valuable data, you do have to manage it and stay on top of it, and make sure that they're getting that information into the system. So that's where some of the reports will help as well. Jenny's going to show you what are the reports that'll show you how to identify if an opportunity is stale. such a cool Such a cool word. And or overdue, basically something that's kind of fallen off. You can look at it like anything else in Epic. If you're going to implement Renewals Manager, for example, that's a new tool, and you have to kind of manage your users, do some reporting, and kind of keep an eye on it to see who's using it, who's not, who's having an issue, whatever the case is, just like implementing any other tool in your agency. So yes, producers are notoriously bad for entering information in Epic, but this is a lot less expensive program. If you wanted to, even if you just wanted to start trying to manage, opportunities and sales, if you just wanted to just dip your toes in because maybe you're interested in something more expansive like Salesforce or HubSpot or whatever the case is, this is also an opportunity to try to see, can we just get them to get in here with this simplified version, and then, maybe we can go a little bit further and invest in a larger program. So this is another good way to just get started on things.
Yep.
All right, I'm done.
Yep. Oh, no, that's fine. Christina says they don't use it for sales team and producers. They use it for their service staff and account managers to track their sales opportunities and account round. And we do have clients that do that same thing as well.
Mhm.
Being able to track it and being able to use this dashboard is really nice. It's a nice visual. A lot of people are very visual, and they like to see kind of how close they are to meeting their goal. That's a lot of fun there. Speaking of the dashboard, here we go. This will list our combined sales here. And this is for consulting and all teams. Every team that I'm on, I can look for just the Thunder sales team as a whole. Here's our combined sales. And then anything that's unassigned there. But I'm going to look at myself for all teams. Over here, here's my new business year to date. So my goal is 105,000. I've barely scratched the surface with my $300 that I put in a minute ago. Here's my pipeline. I've got one opportunity, estimated value 20,000. Estimated the stage based on the percent is 12,000. I didn't put any renewal business in, so I can't see any of that yet. And that's why you would choose new or renewed so that you could track it through the opportunities. And then here's my hit ratio of opportunities won versus lost. So this is nice in and of itself on the surface, but the cool thing is I can go, what makes up these numbers? And if I click, it'll pull me into that graph, and I can see that I've got new business, renewal, and then any expiring policies. This is based on revenue and estimated revenue. So if I wanted to see premium, I could flip it over and see premium. That's kind of cool. If I wanted to see even more detail of what makes up this, I can click again. And then in that bar that I just clicked, that makes up Bob's Construction. And here's my estimated premium and revenue coming up in the pipeline. So this was my targeted close date here, and I can put that in there. If I go back, I can go back through. Here's my that was my zero, anything coming up within 0 to 30 days. Remember, I put December 1st on mine. So when I click here, there's our rock and roll burgers right here. And it looks like we had another one in there without any estimated premium. So all of these dashboards are fully interactive, and you can go in and kind of drill down and see, here's your new business year to date. And now this is what I've got. This is what I've won here. This is everything that's been won in 2023. And we're a little behind because the year's almost over. And then again, revenue and premium, you can go back there. And then here's your hit ratio. The renewal pipeline would be the same as the new business. We just don't have any data in there. And then the hit ratio, same thing. You can actually enter in your closed start and end dates, and then see whether it's revenue or premium. And then you've got lost versus won, and you can drill in and see maybe what you've lost. There's your reasons, that kind of thing. So that's really cool. Let's see. We got some more questions over here.
Yes, we
Applied
have.
mobile app work to do these opportunities, creates prospects or update stages. Yes, yes, and yes. You can do all of that in Applied Mobile. Yes. Yeah. Christina, can you define those buckets where data is coming from? New business, renewal, and expiring? No, unfortunately, this is just how it comes. So these are the dashboards that you get. And then premium and revenue, any way to see the profit, again, just premium and revenue. That's how it's coming out, out of the box. So that's the dashboard there. I guess we should have put ourselves on the executive dashboard. I don't know how
Yeah.
much data is going to be in there for us to see that. Let's see if we'll go back over to sales. Let's see if it'll even pull up. We might need to refresh our view. Sometimes it takes a minute too. If you go under user options and put in opportunities, it takes a minute to refresh that as well. And one thing while we're waiting to see if anything changes is the opportunities. My view here, my default is within the next 30 days. You can go see anything that's coming up next 60, 90, 120, 150. As they expire, they won't appear here anymore. So you'll have to run reports to locate them. If you've got older stuff, we'll get into the reports. We probably need to head to reports now, rather than.
Yeah, and while you're getting to the reports, Jenny, because we are getting real short on time here, one of the questions earlier was, can you reassign the opportunities? I did not find a way to do that. That's not in the reassignment tool. You can't select multiple opportunities at one time. So unless Applied can confirm whether or not there's another sneaky way to do that, another option for you there is to, just like you would view others' activities, select the view others' opportunities. So you can allow that, other sales team that you would be reassigning to view those others' opportunities that they were already under, and then they can manage them from there. So even though they're not, specifically listed, they could go through those and just change that information as long as they can view it.
As far as your reports, we did talk about the home base, viewing others, the dashboards. The executive dashboard never did pull up, but I think it's because we didn't have ourselves configured correctly. For the reports, you've got 4 in your main opportunity section. You've got 4 main reports. You've got the forecast report, which will that'll show you the specified date, what's supposed to be closed by then. You have a really cool hit ratio report, so won versus lost and percentages and reasons and broken down. You've got a pipeline report, so anything that's open and in process, you can use that as at your sales meeting. So you're doing a huddle and you want to say, okay, what do we have out there? You can put these reports in the report quick view so that you can just double click and run it right then in real time. And then you've got, sorry about that. You've got a sales report, which might give you your current sales figures per employee and the sales targets. So when we go over to the pipeline, and I'm just going to flip over there. When we go to the pipeline report here, we can see the basics about the opportunity and the amount of time the opportunity's been in that stage. If it's the pipeline, you want it to be open. And so then when you preview that, it's going to show you a nice little breakdown of, so here is, for this owner, there was no owner listed under there. They've got 3 opportunities in the unqualified stage. and this will be your descriptions and how long they've been open. So that kind of gives you an idea, and it'll break it down. Here's by your owner. So here's all your sales team here. Bobby's got some in discover stage, some in the interest stage, and then some in the unqualified stage. And you can see here's our rock and roll burgers there. Bobby was our sales manager in our instance there. So you can do a couple of things in here. You can look and see what opportunities are overdue. If you take your target close date and you run it like open through a month ago or something like that, see kind of what's old out there, see what's stale. The stale ones you can actually put over here and add the criteria of duration. And then when you do that, you can see, maybe they've been open from, maybe they're 30 days old through older, and kind of see what's stale and what's out there. Some of the things that you can do is you can go ahead and close them and renew them for the next year. Just close them, especially if you're just getting started with opportunities, close them out and just kind of start from scratch. Or work them, just work those opportunities depending on what's in there. Figure out who's going to take action. Do you want a follow-up activity? Because you can run a report and then go over here to your delivery options, and you cannot add an activity on the opportunity reports. That's unfortunate. Yeah, it's grayed out. Same thing with the interface reports. I found that out today. Yeah, you can't do any marketing options from these.
Not yet.
Yeah. Yeah. So some other ways you can use the pipeline report. You can do what are the new opportunities this week? What's closing soon? Where's the revenue concentrated? So those are some ideas on the pipeline report. The forecast report will give you open opportunities targeted by a specific close date. So maybe just any time open through today, we can say. And then we can preview that. You can do some sorts by owner or team or by stage, and give yourself some subtotals here. But here, this actually gives you the revenue based on that stage percentage. So that premium and that revenue, it breaks it down by that percent. So you can kind of see where you are. Just a different way of looking at your things that are out there, your stages up there. That was our forecast report. I feel like I'm missing a slide.
Nope, you're good. And actually, I was just going to mention, for anybody who is still on the call, we are going to go ahead and finish out the slides so that we'll have those for the recording. So if you want to hang out and you have more questions, feel free. But we're going to go ahead and there's just a couple slides left on the report. And we want to make sure that we get that out. So if you have to go, you'll have the recording.
We do have the hit ratio report. So you can do this for all time, or you can do it maybe anything that was closed in a fixed date range. So everything through September, for last month, you want to see what's going on last month. Oop, that was not last month. And of course you can use your system date, that kind of thing. But when we do that, our hit ratio report is going to break it down. It's going to break it down by, here's me as the consulting employee. Here's what was lost, and here's our status subtotals here. Here's what was won, and then the owner altogether. I won one, I lost one, and here's our ratio percentage. And then you can also sort this by reason as well, and get that information in there. So that's kind of a helpful report. And then the last one is the sales report, and that will do anything that was won, so anything that was actually sold. And then again, you might want to do that for an actual close date if you want to do it for the year, perhaps, and see what's going on through today. And we can take a look at that one.
Yeah, and while that's coming up, some of these reports, once you kind of start playing around with them, there's a lot of different ways that you can use these. We unfortunately don't have time to go over all of that today.
Yep.
But if you're going to apply debt, you might check it. I'm sure there's probably an advanced sales pipeline reporting session
Hmm.
somewhere. But these reports are great for, like we were saying earlier, managing your team. If you are looking at some of these reports and you're not seeing anything on them, you're going to go to, Bob and say, hey, Bob, why don't you have any opportunities? Are you just chilling playing golf all day, or are you actually going out and doing some sales? So, or are you just not putting your information in Epic? So,
Hmm.
these are not only for managing that sales pipeline, viewing those reports on a regular basis, just like anything else in Epic, but they're also for managing the staff and the team, your sales team that you're working with. And then, it gives you great information for the future. You can also use it for things like performance reviews, performance bonuses. Lots of really good data can come out of these reports and out of this opportunity process, especially if if you're not doing all of that right now. You have all of this opportunity, this world of opportunity to get this data out of your system. It's just a matter of, putting some good stuff in. You just have so many options in opportunities. You have so much opportunity and opportunity. I'm not going to go there. but and for some agencies, they're not as sales driven currently. Maybe you are a little stale in sales. This is a great way to create some initiative. Okay, we're going to have, this is your revenue goal for the next 90 days, and you're going to start managing this, and we're going to start reflecting it, and we're going to do some things that are more performance based instead of just the regular old, oh, you got a referral from your buddy at the golf club. So insurance people really like golf. So that's
Yep. There's our forecast report.
okay.
Yep. So here is our sales report is open for closed and won opportunities. You can sort it by owner and team, those kind of things. We kind of talked about that.
Yep.
And then our hit ratio report, we looked at that. You can measure and compare. So now our next steps.
Yes. And that would be the end of it.
Yes.
So we've kind of really talked about all of the steps that you would need to take to initiate your using the opportunities in Epic, using the sales marketing automation. It does take a lot of planning. So you do want to make sure that you establish your sales goals, establish your stages, customize your Epic database, do some adequate training, and then launch that out. Now, you don't want to do all of that work and not have it actually happen in your system. So don't forget, you're going to have to manage that going forward as well. So that's the key to success when it comes to utilizing the sales automation piece in Epic, is to really stay on top of that sales management. Have somebody monitoring the reports, have somebody monitoring the dashboards, and make sure your producers really understand the value and how to get this information in the system. Some of the ways that we can help is if you're looking to implement this in your agency. Of course, we can help with training. We also help with all of these wonderful consulting services you see here, in addition to a newly added service for bookkeeping, outsourced bookkeeping. So if you are interested in any type of accounting and bookkeeping services, we can help you with that as well. So we really appreciate you all coming in today. Jenny, if you'll just move that down to the last slide there. Don't forget that we do have a survey that you'll be receiving after the session. If you'd like to learn more about our IT and consulting services, feel free to reach out to us the ways listed here. We'd be happy to set up a complimentary consultation to just talk to you about your IT or consulting needs. Thank you again for spending the time with us today. We hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And if you're coming to AppliedNet, come see us. I will be doing a very last session on the last day of the event. So make sure you come see me and Laura, one of our other consultants, will be there. And we have a couple of really great technology sessions from our IT guys as well. So keep a lookout for us. We're going to have some cool stuff at the booth. Got some upcoming webinars as well. So keep an eye on your email and your LinkedIn. You'll see us. We won't let you forget. So have a great afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining.